Guys, Texas A&M reached out to Dan Campbell through back channels. That is something that we thought would happen. It was something that
Isn't that illegal?
think Texas A&M would love to see. But Bruce Feldman, he reported that Texas A&M did in fact reach out to Dan Campbell, called him their dream candidate. I think if you're a Texas A&M diehard, your dream candidate is the guy who's on the sidelines for the Detroit Lions. He's a guy from Texas A&M. Every time you see a minute of Dan Campbell in the locker room scene talking to his team, you're like, holy cow, that guy. That's the guy that should be your head coach here. But he's also a guy who may have the Lions on a playoff run. Well, he is that. The timing is awful, and you're not getting him to leave, so he is out. That is Bruce Feldman. A shout out to you, Bruce Campbell. I do know Bruce Campbell, but Bruce Feldman on Rich Eisen's show. Dan Campbell is not going anywhere, but it does speak to something, Bray. Any opening, you are going to want Dan Campbell, or you're going to want a Dan Campbell disciple, for lack of a better way to say it. That is the culture that he and this Lions organization has kind of instituted now here in Detroit.
Yeah, if you're a college institution like Texas A&M, who's going through things right now, Dan Campbell and the way in which he's gone about building up the identity of the Detroit Lions and building a family, building everybody buying in together, nobody believing that they're better than the next guy. That's prototypical of what college football used to be like. That's prototypical of how teams had success winning in college. So if I'm Texas A&M and I'm looking at the model that he's built, stuck to his guns, stayed to who he was, stayed aggressive, stayed 4th and 2s, everybody's buying in, how the team respects him, how the team responds to him. This is somebody that I'm going after, but you're 100% right. He's locked into a playoff run. Not he might make the playoffs. They're going to win the division, and they're going to get 2 home games. It's just about they're going to get home field throughout the playoffs, talking about the Detroit Lions. So it would be great for them to get him in their estimation, but right now, Dan Campbell's not thinking about anything that isn't Allen Park and anything that isn't talking about the Honolulu Blue and Silver. So it would behoove anybody to try to reach out to him right now, and I think he is an he's an individual. He will take that as disrespecting when you reached out to him. But at the same time, if I'm Texas A&M and I have this money and I'm trying to hire a coach, I'm reaching out to everybody that I want, and it doesn't matter when the time is, because somebody's going to take a nibble of that apple. Dan Campbell's just not the one.
Just want to give a shout out to John Hughes. I'm pumped I stumbled upon this network. It is where I get my sports news. John Hughes, thank you so much. We appreciate it as we continue to grow here. We believe each and every day somebody is stumbling upon us for the first time. So hopefully you like what you see and tell a friend about Woodward Sports. But Maz, I know you wanted to weigh in on this Dan Campbell to Texas A&M situation.
I got another guy for Texas A&M.
Yeah.
He also went to Texas A&M. His name is Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn went to Texas A&M. Aaron Glenn was a terrific NFL player. Aaron Glenn's a hell of a coach. He's coaching up. Yeah, I know you're mad at him right now, Lion fans, but that's a hell of a coach, man. That's a hell of a man back there as well. And I could just see him on the sidelines of Texas A&M and getting the Aggies back to where they were before Jimbo Fisher wrecked them. So there's a name for you.
That's not a bad name. I mean, I love how you're trying to send all our coaches away, but I'm messing with you. But that's
a sign of a great. That's a sign of a great team, though. I mean, you look at Philadelphia, Bray. They lost both their coordinators last year to head coaches. You could have that same thing happen this year to the Detroit Lions.
I would say it'd be interesting for Aaron Glenn to do it. And I think actually Maz brings up a great point that I didn't think about. His defense hasn't necessarily been great this year, and they haven't necessarily been great since he's been here. He has some good times, and he's had some bad times. So if you see yourself as Aaron Glenn, and you're like, hey, I don't know if I'll be able to get a head job, Ryan Ermanni, as a head coach in this league, as a defensive coach. I don't know if they've looked at my cash in, what I've done so far, and thought it was good enough. So if you got Texas A&M knocking at his door, I'm definitely taking, $9 to $10 million if I'm Aaron Glenn versus trying to continue to find out if I'm going to get a head coaching job as defensive side of the ball coach.
Aaron Glenn does not feel like a college guy to me, though. Aaron Glenn feels like an NFL guy to me. That's just...
He's an NFL player, but I think he's a guy that loves the game. He's a guy that loves to coach the game, likes to teach the game. And when you're really dialed into the teaching side of things, That's more collegiate level, because at this level, you're more so teaching concepts. You're not teaching guys how to break down on route running and keep your head over the ball of your feet so that you don't slip out of your break, slipping off your heel. You're not teaching DBs how to open up when they're going against cover 2 versus man. You're not teaching that at this level. You're teaching guys concepts, and I think sometimes guys like Aaron Glenn, like, you know what, I really like teaching the game. I really like getting guys better. I don't know, Ryan. I could see him as a college guy. I could.
He's perfect for that job.
I
AG,
could.
he's a coach, man. He is a coach.
Texas Aggies,
he can only do,
AG.
You can only do what you can only do here when you have the guys that we have on defense. You're building up from zero. You're getting draft picks. And then the guys that you got on free agency, you lost 2 of them. You lost Emmanuel Mosley and you lost CJ GJ. Those 2 guys could have easily made the difference on this team. Easily made the difference on this team.
One more point about it, AG. If you're going to make him a college coach, you know who should?
Michigan State?
Yes. They should give him.
Go up the road.
You want to talk about, he would embody everything that you are trying to do at that university, at that football program. Right? I mean, wouldn't he?
Why not?
I was about to say something like, they 0 for 2 with black coaches, man. They might want to leave black coaches alone.
Oh, come on, Brad.
More than that, they had Bobby Williams.
That's one. That's what I'm talking
Well, now
about.
you got Harlem Barnett.
He doesn't count. This is this is still Mel Tucker season.
Gotcha.
I don't fall we don't fall Harlem Barnett for this season.
Let me get back on track here, just slightly, because I think Dan Campbell is about to become a guy where Jim Harbaugh is at Michigan, where every opening in the NFL, Jim Harbaugh's name is going to be associated. I almost think that Dan Campbell is that guy too. If there's an opening for the Giants, if there's an opening for the Cowboys, if there's an opening at Texas A&M, if there's an opening at the Saints, whoever knows, wherever he's been along the way, the Giants and the Cowboys specifically, you don't think Jerry Jones is going to try to hire Dan Campbell if it doesn't work out this year? You know what I'm saying? That's why, if I'm Sheila, I would go ahead and re-sign him today. We talked about this a little bit last week, but I know he's committed to the Lions. I know he's committed to being here. But if that kind of stuff bothers you, where his name is going to be associated with every job that's open, you might want to lock him up. Yeah,
you might want to lock him up. But you said it yesterday, and I said wait till after the season, because the type of guy that Dan Campbell is, he's not going to want to take focus or distract off of what's going on. But, Ryan, you might have a point. It might be something, hey, you say, you know what? Let's just go ahead and offer this man an extension right now. You look at what he's done, from how he's built it here to how the success that they've had from 3-13-1 to 9-7 to hell, he's already got 7 wins after 9 games this year in the NFL, and then the number 2 seed. So you see that he's getting better and better and better. He's not staying stagnant. He's not getting decent and staying there. So definitely would be worth maybe sitting him down, having a conversation, and say, hey, look, we want to make this thing for a very long time. You know, what are you thinking? And maybe worth to bring that conversation to him.
And not only that, but Brad Holmes too. We shot our segment for the Fox 2 Football Sunday pregame show that they do on Sunday. We shot that earlier today, and one of the parts about that segment we talked about was, where would this Lions team be without the rookies, the 2 in the first round and the 2 in the second round? You know, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell, and Brian Branch. Those 4 rookies, and Jack Campbell quietly starting now, getting more snaps defensively, played his best game last week. He's out there making plays. This team would not be 7-2 if it wasn't for those 4 rookies at all.
No, it wouldn't. And the job of a good GM is to draft players that can have impact right now. Draft guys that can join your team this year, have success this year, and help you get towards your goal, which for the Lions is the NFC Championship, eventually the Super Bowl, potentially even this year. That doesn't happen all the time, Ryan. When I look at the guys I got drafted with, I got drafted in 2005 to the Cleveland Browns. I went first round. Charlie Fryer went second round. Antonio Pierce, he was a DB out of Oklahoma. I look at that whole draft class, 9 draft guys. Nobody played. Nobody played except me that first year, except the DB who did some special teams work, but nothing of note. These guys are Pro Bowl caliber players after 9 weeks or 10 weeks. These guys are Pro Bowl caliber players, and they're operating for a team that was already on their way, and then they came and joined the team. So you don't see this type of action. You don't see this many guys operate at this high level in the NFL. Maybe the Legion of Boom in Seattle and when they drafted those guys, but outside of that, you don't see too many guys when you got 4 picks operating at a Pro Bowl level. I want to say it's unheard of because it really is. It really is.
Let's go over those guys again. Let's start with Brian Branch. He won them the first game against Kansas City.
Pick
Touchdown,
6.
right?
Yeah,
Pick
hell
6.
yeah.
Sam Laporta. He beat Atlanta single-handedly on his own. Remember his first touchdown in that game?
And you can even argue that he won last week.
Yeah, with that fourth down catch.
And
With that fourth down catch.
Stat for stat right now in the NFL, like Sam Laporta is probably top 4, top 3 tight end in the NFL. So yeah, 100%.
Gibbs won the Raiders game.
Gibbs won the Raiders game, right? And the fourth guy you were talking about?
Jack Campbell.
Jack Campbell is starting to come into his own now. Colby Sorsdale stepped in and helped when the offensive line was down a couple of games. They're all pitching in right now. It's really remarkable what they have done. And you said it could have been maybe the best draft and before all said and done.
At least since '89.
Yeah, it could be one of the best drafts ever for a Lion.
It's not even close since '89. It's not even close. You're 100% correct. But I'm telling you, like I've been around some teams. I've been there when guys have drafted. I've been there through drafts. You don't see 4 guys. I remember 2012, the Seattle Seahawks. They drafted Russ. They drafted Bruce Irvin in the first round, and they drafted Bobby Wagner. That was a hell of a draft. And I'm like, that's really good. This one's better than that one. This one's better than that. I'm just looking. They drafted Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas the same year. This one's better than that one. If you look at the type of output you're getting out of these guys right now, like I'm not making words when I say Pro Bowl caliber. If Brian Branch doesn't miss 3 games, what would his stats be then?
Right.
On top of that, these guys are operating at a high level, and I'm telling you, like, kudos to Brad Holmes. I've talked enough stuff about not drafting Jalen Carter. I told you I'd never forgive you, but at the same time, I can understand.
And we don't know what Hendon Hooker's going to be about.
No doubt.